What's up, peoples of IRC and elsewhere? This is Undefeatable Twilight. Yes, it's Thursday, I'm a day late, but there is a good reason for that, which I will tell you as soon as I finish reading this chapter. Dig my book out because it's kind of buried under stuff here. Okay, here we go. I don't know how long this is going to be, but we'll do it as long as it takes. So here we go. It seemed to Arthur as if the whole sky suddenly just stood aside and let them through. It seemed to him that the atoms of his brain and the atoms of the cosmos were streaming through each other. It seemed to him that he was blown on the wind of the universe, and that the wind was him. It seemed to him that he was one of the thoughts of the universe, and that the universe was a thought of his. It seemed to the people at Lord's Cricket Ground that another North London restaurant had just come and gone, as they so often do, and that this was somebody else's problem. "What happened?" whispered Arthur in considerable awe. "We took off," said Slarty Bartfast. Arthur lay in startled stillness on the acceleration couch. He wasn't certain whether he had just got space sickness or religion. "Nice mover," said Ford in an unsuccessful attempt to disguise the degree to which he had been impressed by what Slarty Bartfast's ship had just done. "Shame about the decor." For a moment or two the old man didn't reply. He was staring at the instruments with the air of one who is trying to convert Fahrenheit to centigrade in his head whilst his house is burning down. Then his brow cleared, and he stared for a moment at the wide panoramic screen in front of him, which displayed a bewildering complexity of stars streaming like silver threads around them. His lips moved as if he was trying to spell something. Suddenly his eyes darted in alarm back to his instruments, but then his expression merely subsided into a steady frown. He looked back up at the screen. He felt his own pulse. His frown deepened for a moment, then he relaxed. "It's a mistake to try and understand machines," he said. "They only worry me. What did you say?" "Decor," said Ford. "Pity about it." "Deep in the fundamental heart of mind and universe," said Slarty Bartfast, "there is a reason." Ford glanced sharply around. He clearly thought this was taking an optimistic view of things. The interior of the flight deck was dark green, dark red, dark brown, cramped and moodily lit. Inexplicably, the resemblance to a small Italian bistro had failed to enter the hatchway. Small pools of light picked out pot plants, glazed tiles, and all sorts of little unidentifiable brass things. Raffia-wrapped bottles lurked hideously in the shadows. The instruments which had occupied Slarty Bartfast's attention seemed to be mounted in the bottom of bottles which were set in concrete. Ford reached out and touched it. Fake concrete. Plastic. Fake bottles set in fake concrete. The fundamental heart of mind and universe can take a running jump, he thought to himself. This is rubbish. On the other hand, it could not be denied that the way the ship had moved made the heart of gold seem like an electric pram. He swung himself off the couch. He brushed himself down. He looked at Arthur, who was singing quietly to himself. He looked at the screen and recognised nothing. He looked at Slarty Bartfast. "How far did we just travel?" he said. "About," said Slarty Bartfast, "about 2/3 of the way across the galactic disk, I would say, roughly. Yes, roughly 2/3, I think." "It's a strange thing," said Arthur quietly, "that the further and faster one travels across the universe, the more one's position in it seems to be largely immaterial, and one is filled with a profound, or rather emptied of it." "Yes, very strange," said Ford. "Where are we going?" "We are going," said Slarty Bartfast, "to confront an ancient nightmare of the universe." "And where are you going to drop us off?" "I will need your help." "Tough. Look, there's somewhere you can take us where we can have fun. I'm trying to think of it. Maybe we can get drunk and maybe listen to some extremely evil music. Hold on, I'll look it up." He dug out his copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and zipped through those parts of the index primarily concerned with sex and drugs and rock and roll. "A curse has arisen from the mists of time," said Slarty Bartfast. "Yes, I expect so," said Ford. "Hey," he said, lighting accidentally on one particular reference entry. "Eccentrica Columbus. Do you ever meet her? The triple-breasted whore of Eroticon 6. Some people say her erogenous zone starts some 4 miles from her actual body. Me, I disagree. I say 5. "A curse," said Slarty Bartfast, "which will engulf the galaxy in fire and destruction, and possibly bring the universe to a premature doom. I mean it," he added. "Sounds like a bad time," said Ford. "With luck, I'll be drunk enough not to notice." "Here," he said, snapping his finger at the screen of the guide, "would be a really wicked place to go, and I think we should. What do you say, Arthur? Stop mumbling mantras and pay attention. There's important stuff you're missing here." Arthur pushed himself up from his couch and shook his head. "Where are we going?" he said. "To confront an ancient night." "Can it?" said Ford. "Arthur, we are going out into the galaxy to have some fun. Is that an idea you can cope with?" "What's Slarty Bartfast looking so anxious about?" said Arthur. "Nothing," said Ford. "Doom," said Slarty Bartfast. "Come," he added with sudden authority, "there is much I must show and tell you." He walked towards a green wrought-iron spiral staircase set incomprehensibly in the middle of the flight deck and started to ascend. Arthur, with a frown, followed. Ford slung the guide sullenly back into his satchel. "My doctor says that I have a malformed public duty gland and a natural deficiency in moral fibre," he muttered to himself, "and that I am therefore excused from saving universes." Nevertheless, he stomped up the stairs behind them. What they found upstairs was just stupid, or so it seemed, and Ford shook his head, buried his face in his hands, and slumped against a pot plant, crushing it against the wall. "The central computational area," said Slatty Bartfast unperturbed. "This is where every calculation affecting the ship in any way is performed. Yes, I know what it looks like, but it is in fact a complex four-dimensional topographical map of a series of highly complex mathematical functions." "It looks like a joke," said Arthur. "I know what it looks like," said Slatty Bartfast, and went into it. As he did so, Arthur had a sudden vague flash of what it might mean, but he refused to believe it. The universe could not possibly work like that, he thought. Cannot possibly. That, he thought to himself, would be as absurd as... He terminated that line of thinking. Most of the really absurd things he could think of had already happened. And this was one of them. It was a large glass cage, or box, in fact a room. In it was a table, a long one. Around it were gathered about a dozen chairs of the bentwood style. On it was a tablecloth, a grubby red and white check tablecloth, scarred with the occasional cigarette burn, each presumably at a precisely calculated mathematical position. And on the tablecloth sat some dozen half-eaten Italian meals, hedged about with half-eaten breadsticks and half-drunk glasses of wine, and toyed with listlessly by robots. It was all completely artificial. The robot customers were attended by a robot waiter, a robot wine waiter, and a robot maître d'. The furniture was artificial, the tablecloth artificial, and each particular piece of food was clearly capable of exhibiting all the mechanical characteristics of, say, a pollo sorpreso, without actually being one. And all participated in a little dance together, a complex routine involving the manipulation of menus, bill pads, wallets, checkbooks, credit cards, watches, pencils, and paper napkins, which seemed to be hovering constantly on the edge of violence, but never actually getting anywhere. Slatty Bartfast hurried in, and then appeared to pass the time of day quite idly with the maître d', whilst one of the customer robots, or an autorary, slid slowly under the table, mentioning what he intended to do to some guy over some girl. Slatty Bartfast took over the seat which had been thus vacated and passed a shrewd eye over the menu. The tempo of the routine round the table seemed somehow imperceptibly to quicken. Arguments broke out, people attempted to prove things on napkins, they waved fiercely at each other and attempted to examine each other's pieces of chicken. The waiter's hand began to move on the bill pad more quickly than a human hand could manage, and then more quickly than a human eye could follow. The pace accelerated. Soon an extraordinary and insistent politeness overwhelmed the group, and seconds later it seemed that a moment of consensus was suddenly achieved. A new vibration thrilled through the ship. Slatty Bartfast emerged from the glass room. "Beastromathics," he said, "the most powerful computational force known to parascience. Come to the room of informational illusions." He swept past and carried them bewildered in his wake. And that's it. Not a bad length of chapter. So, why am I a day late? Well, last night I went up to Preston, which is not too far away. There's about 15 minutes on the train, but there's no train stations in between, so it's like 15 minutes non-stop from Lancaster to Preston. I went to the Preston Munch and had a great time. Then, when I went to go home, I discovered that because apparently there's a rail strike on, the trains weren't running, so the train that I had booked to go home wasn't running. And that was the last train of the night, so there was nothing. There were no replacement bus services, no taxis, because it was a strike. You know, they weren't running anything, so I was basically stuck in Preston. So I had to go to a Premier Inn and book a room, which cost me a fair bit of money, which I am hoping to get reimbursed, because, you know, I didn't really have a choice in the matter. I pretty much had, because otherwise I would have been sleeping out on the street, and no one wants to do that, or in the station or something. But I have contacted the train company, and they say they will reimburse my ticket, because I couldn't get home. But I did ask them about reimbursing the cost of the hotel. They said that I would have to contact the actual train company, because I booked through the train line, which is a third-party service. So I contacted them. It was Northern Rail was the train I was supposed to have gone home on. So I contacted them, and I'm still waiting for them to get back to me. Hopefully, fingers crossed, they will reimburse, because that cost me like 80 quid for a twin room, because I was me and someone else, and we went half seats on it, so like I paid half and he paid half, but still, you know, I paid 40 quid for that room. I would really like to get that back, because I do not have a lot of money right now. But there we go, that's why I couldn't do a video last night. I was intending to do it after I got back, because then it would have still been Wednesday by my rule of the day doesn't end until I go to bed. But, yeah, I couldn't do it, so you're getting a video today. So, sorry about that, but what could I do? I mean, I couldn't get home. I was stuck in Preston, in the Premier Inn hotel room with someone else, so I couldn't do it there, and besides, it was like middle of the night, so I wouldn't have been able to do it anyway, because people were sleeping and didn't want to disturb them. But there you go, so that's it. Hopefully that won't happen again. I seem to have bad luck with munches, because the Blackpool munch, when I went to that one as well, I missed my train going back, but that was my fault, because I actually just missed the train. I didn't know that the last train left at whenever, but this time I actually did book a train going back, so I made sure I was home on time, and then I got to the station and they said that no trains are running because there's a strike. And like, okay, you might have told me that when I booked the ticket. Anyways, I made it home, so whatever. I got the train back today. They said they didn't check my ticket, but it said on the website that if you were going to travel back yesterday, then your ticket would be valid today, because there were no trains running yesterday. And they still refunded me. Well, are going to. I need to post them my tickets, and going to go through that now. But yeah, so that's why I'm late. Okay, so thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, share and subscribe, and if you are subscribed, be sure to ding the notification bell so you know when I make a new video, because I could do it at any time for any reason, and I might be making a lot of new videos because I'm gonna have some free time the next week or so, yes, so I might be making some videos then, so maybe you'll have something to watch, or not, I don't know. Anyways, I'll see you later. Take care of yourselves and each other. Love and peace.